At the end of Earthbound, spoilers for Earthbound, it's been 30 years, you fight the final boss, Gygus, an incomprehensible entity you have to transfer your consciousness into a robot and travel back in time to fight, travel down I'm not even gonna get into what this is, and despite all the cult members and piles of vomit you fought along your journey to get here, all the psychic attacks you learned from thinking about stakes and rock and roll, all the level ups you gained to make it all the way to this point, the culmination of your entire journey, and you cannot actually beat Gygus' final phase through fighting. In video games, what's supposed to be a thrilling, epic battle at the end of your 30-hour adventure is instead met with a cry for help from 4 kids who are far, far away from home. Rather, the only way to defeat Gygus is by having your party member Paula use the pray command 8 times, an action that many players may not have used a single time throughout the game. And when you do pray, the game cuts over to different areas you previously visited and all the different people you've met and helped during the game. And they're all rooting for you to succeed. The Mr. Saturns in Saturn Village, the Runway 5, Paula's Polestar Preschool, Tony, who is Jeff's friend and nothing else, I swear, the local women in Prince Pooh's hometown, Frank the gang leader, who I forgot was in this game, Ness's mom and sister and dog, and the final prayer, and it's you the player playing this game, and only then, with the power of everyone you met along the way hoping for Ness's successes, are you able to defeat Gygus. And afterwards, everyone mails you a letter at the end. It's really cute. I love it when games do this. Spoilers for these games. When all the characters you met along the way cheer you on during the final boss, and that's what gives you the power to win, you know? Sometimes quite literally using the power of friendship to defeat God. And I think it happens as often as it does because it is such a good trope. Is it a little cheesy, a little corny? Yes, but be for real right now. Who doesn't like cheese? Yo ass likes cheese. You think I didn't see you eating American single straight from the package at 2 a.m. last night? We got high fructose corn syrup on all our food, and we turned out okay, right? Mathematically, your character is getting stronger. Mechanically, you the player has gotten better at the game. But it's not just mechanics, but emotion. Your journey is encapsulated by more than just the numbers on screen. So on top of those level ups, having reached the end of this piece of creative art, you the player are fundamentally a changed person than you were at the start. What, you think you just fell out of a coconut tree? Of course not. You exist in the context of everything around you, and you are a product of your experiences, and I think powering up the player by showing you all the people you helped along the way is a cool way to mechanically reflect that. It really brings the story full circle. In terms of gameplay, this is often reflected in some type of invincible state for the final boss, but then the willpower of everyone helps you break that barrier. Or maybe there's some kind of scripted loss scene, and then the encouragement montage from everyone revives you. Both of these happen in Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, which is probably the most textbook example of this trope. After fighting goth Princess Peach for a while, which got me feeling some type of way, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why do we have to fight? Maybe we could talk this out. Perhaps over dinner? Anyways, the Shadow Queen assumes her true form. She blocks out the sun like Mr. Burns on that one episode of The Simpsons. She sucks the souls out of the entire audience. God, I wish that was me. Then turns completely invincible. You can't do any damage to her for multiple turns, but the crystal stars fly all across the world, and the encouragement from all the people you met and helped and had adventures with from all over the world to power up the crystal stars. You're able to damage the Shadow Queen, and there's even a hard-coded bingo to get your audience members back. So it was really embarrassing when playing this game as a kid on the GameCube, and I would still lose this fight anyways. Look, this boss was really hard to 12-year-old me. You know, it makes sense that these other characters would want you to succeed, not only because you previously met them and helped them so they like you, but also because they have a vested interest in not having the world destroyed. And obviously these are fictional characters in a fictional world, but it does give the fictional world a sense of presence and community when everyone is able to put aside their differences and pursue one common goal: being a hater. Hey everyone, that guy fucking sucks. Let's pray for their downfall together. A close cousin of this trope is when characters are on their Han Solo type beat and they're showing up at the last second to help in some capacity. Reminds me of a Dragon Ball Spirit Bomb or the Avengers Endgame portal scene. Look, I am dead on the inside, but these scenes always get me choked up a little bit. Now speaking of bringing the story full circle, our next final boss trope. Spoilers for these games. Here's my 2 rule of thumbs for final boss design, but obviously I don't make the game, make whatever you want. If the final fight has 2 phases, the second phase of the fight should be harder. If there are more than 2 phases, then the final phase should be the easiest phase, possibly with the player character getting some sort of upgrade right beforehand. And if you really want to add some extra juice to the whole final boss experience, the music for the final boss should either be the main theme song of the game, or even better, a remix of the main theme. On this channel, we love us some musical motifs, and there are many such cases. Hades' title theme, which is the main theme. Hades' final boss intro, which starts exactly the same and gradually anamorphs into its wild extended final boss hype version. Celeste first level theme, which is basically the main theme. Celeste final level theme, which this is a platformer, so it doesn't really have a final boss per se. I'd say all the perfectly Madeline-sized spiky gaps you have to squeeze through are the true final boss. Fire Emblem Fate's main theme. Fire Emblem Fate's final chapter theme. I think most people would agree that one of the best parts of this game is the soundtrack, even though it is a little bit over quota on the amount of bagpipe. You see, there are many such cases, probably some obvious ones I'm forgetting, such as the Undertale title theme and the Undertale final boss theme. Many such cases. And if you really want to add some juice to the final boss experience, slather that whole thing in Hawaiian Punch, you know what I'm saying? Add in a hell yeah, now we're motherfucking gaming moment, then have the main theme kick in at the start, at the final phase of the final boss. There are many such cases. Zelda Butwa main theme. Zelda Butwa final boss final phase theme. Zelda Tatka main theme sax part. Zelda Tatka final boss final phase theme sax part. This theme even has a few motifs from Breath of the Wild's main theme, bringing the 2-game journey into an even fuller circle, like a narrative cinnamon roll. You see, there are many such cases, and hot damn, I love that shit. It never gets old. Every time it happens, I'm like, hell yeah, now this right here is motherfucking video games. You know, the final boss is gonna be the last memory the player has of the game, so make it amazing. Assuming they actually finish the game. I've seen the achievements list. Most of y'all ain't finishing your games.
Gaming feels worse nowadays.
Finish your games. Sonic Adventure 2. Battle. Every time you turn the game on, you get that classic opening riff that slides into the main theme. Gets you excited to play the Hedgehog game. Then you play all the way through the hero story. Play all the way through the dark story, including that bullshit ass security hall level, cause Rouge the Bat is all like,
15 minutes? Heh, I only need 5.
Okay, well I need more than that, damn! Then you play through the last story, where it turns out everybody's been duped by a dead guy. So all the playable characters, except Shadow, team up to go through this 5-part mega level that takes forever. Sure hope you picked up Knuckles' completely optional air necklace back in the Quad Mine. And then Shadow is reminded that killing people is wrong. Whoopsies. So he's gotta fight a big lizard that's actually the ultimate life form, but Shadow beats it, proving that he's the real ultimate life form. But turns out Big Lizard is still alive. So then there's the final sequence where you're playing a Super Sonic and Super Shadow flying through space, fighting a giant chaos lizard who's trying to crash the space station into the Earth like a meteor, while the butt rock anthem Live and Learn plays, the full version of the opening riff that plays every single time you turn the game on. Oh my god, it's incredible! This helps explain why some Sonic fans are the way that they are, because they got cool ass sequences like this in the game that make you forget about those treasure hunting levels. Now, when it comes to the main theme coming in at the very end, ain't nobody doing this better than Monster Hunter. You see, Monster Hunter is a game without visible enemy health bars, so it's hard to be 100% certain of how far along you are in each fight. But when you're fighting the final boss, or sometimes the final boss finally, with all these powerful moves that can one-shot you, you're burning through all your potions and nulberries, you got no idea how much more punishment this thing can take. But then, a light in the distance, and the triumphant main theme of the whole series kicks in, and that's how you know you got him on the ropes. You in the final stretch, player? Whoop that grasshopper's ass! Yeah, we gotta give a special shout out to Ahtal-Ka, the final boss of Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, the second best Monster Hunter game. This video will now take a detour. You see, the Monster Hunter series seldom confronts its inherently violent, ravenous nature in its core gameplay loop directly. The themes of the Monster Hunter story are all about preservation and conservation and research and coexisting, but the actual gameplay is kill. Unable to improve your own base levels of strength, you spend the game stealing the strength of others. How many creatures minding their own business are you gonna venture out and slaughter, all in the pursuit of making a cool hat? When will your strength level be enough for the corpses to stop piling up? You know, what can the game even do to provide such an amalgamation of power and adequate challenge at this point? The only one capable of fighting you is someone just as fucked up as you, and that's what Ahtal-Ka is. It starts out as a large version of one of the smallest, most pathetic piece of shit monsters in the entire game. You beat the first phase, and the monster realizes its current strength level isn't enough. So what does it do? Just as you gather monster material to power yourself up, it gathers human material to power itself up and make a big stomping mecha that also summons sandstorms. This final boss is not a battle of monster versus hunter. This is a clash of foils. Unstoppable force versus immovable object. The player is directly confronted with their own philosophy of power. In the final phase, this is where the main theme kicks in, hell yeah. When the mecha has fallen apart, twice actually, Ahtal-Ka fights you using a big wheel, arguably mankind's greatest invention. Is this video game boss a commentary on war breeding innovation, breeding more war? And it's not lost on me that the armor design has an Egyptian theme, you know, pharaohs, pyramids, burgeoning civilizations. Am I cooking something here? The grasshoppy gold member even uses the big metal spikes known as dragonators on you, a human-made device reserved for large elder dragons. Like for example, when the skyscraper-sized Lao Shan Lung wanders into the castle, you gotta tell it to back it up, turn around, and Ahtal-Ka, out here with no other options, is forced to use them against you. You, the hunter, has become a threat on par with an elder dragon, and in the end, you, the monster hunter, have triumphed over the hunter monster. The triumphant music plays as the sky clears up, aiding you in obtaining clarity of purpose. But has your bloodlust finally been sated? Was it really all that satisfying? Hell yeah, it was. That fight was fun as hell. Plus we got all them hyper monsters to fight. We got White Fatalis coming up. Load up that quest again. We gotta get to farming. Now, a combo of both Tropes 1 and 2 is in Bravely Default 1, a 3DS JRPG with very obvious flaws, but it's also one of the ballinest games I ever played. Spoilers for Bravely Default 1, but yo ass ain't playing it, and even if you did, you wouldn't get the full experience due to the online functionality coded within this single-player RPG that's no longer available. One cool mechanic in the game was Summon Friend, which lets you upload and download attacks from other Bravely Default players over the internet. So a common tactic was to stack a bunch of buffs, use a powerful special move for buku damage, upload that move, and then someone else could use that move to one-shot a boss they were struggling with. While summoning help from other players like this may seem imbalanced, the game accounts for this by being pretty challenging. It's like Dark Souls. The only way I was able to finish the game was by cheesing my way through the endgame bosses with the infamous Valkyrie high jump, time mage, hasten world multi-class build strategy, where you jump every turn and take no damage, because my ass was was not beating them bosses. Over the course of the game's story, it's gradually revealed to you that you've been playing a multiverse game. And you know the other players' games that you've been sending and receiving moves from? Turns out those are other worlds within the multiverse, which is a really creative way of explaining other players playing the game with identical characters. At the end of the game, the true villain is revealed, the world-devouring serpent Ouroboros, that's how they pronounce it in the game. And if I remember correctly, it's trying to chain together all these worlds within the multiverse and then use their power to escape and reach the celestial realm, destroying all the worlds in the process and remaking the world in its own image. Y'all know what it is, pretty standard JRPG villain scheme. And when you're fighting it, oh my god, it's a rough, fruitless battle with this multiversal eldritch threat. At one point, the optional vampire boss, who's super important to the game's lore, he shows up and sacrifices himself to stop Ouroboros from regenerating, and you still gotta keep fighting because Ouroboros keeps eating entire worlds to heal himself. Me healing? That's allowed. The boss healing? No! That's some bullshit, man, that's cheating. This seemingly endless battle gradually devolves to the point where between phases, Agnes, the real main character, she collapses and starts begging Ouroboros to stop. She's all at a MP. She's all at a BP. She's all at a GP. She's all like, bro, I'm done. Take my life, but please stop. Stop!
Slay me if you will, but you must stop!
And it's at this point, this moment of desperation and hopelessness, where all the other worlds, the other players also playing Bravely Default, these variants of your characters you've been summoning moves from, all pursuing different approaches to this conflict, they hear your plea and they all lend you their strength to defeat Ouroboros. And it's at this section where the final boss theme mixes with each character's special move theme, which mixes with the main theme of Bravely Default, and you laid a slamma-jamma smack down on Ouroboros. Also at this point, Ouroboros is like, behold the celestial realm. And what's supposed to happen is the 3DS camera turns on and shows you, the player, because the real world is the celestial realm, which was hinted at with the summons in the game being real world machines. However, the lighting in my room was too dark, so I didn't see anything. Anyways, it's an incredible moment backed by an incredible theme song to provide an incredible finale to an incredible game. Now I know what you may be thinking. Spaceman, was this video just an excuse for you to glaze a 3DS RPG that barely anyone remembers? I'm making the Mog face under the helmet, you can't tell. Now let's rewind back to what we was talking about with that one Monster Hunter boss before, for our third final boss trope for today. Spoilers for these games, which isn't so much about the final bosses in games, but who is sometimes the final boss you fight in the game. I strongly believe that every game sequel with a story needs to tell its own satisfying story, not use its runtime to largely reminisce about the previous game's events briefly second. That being said, I do like it when the protagonist from the previous game shows up in a minor cameo, and even cooler when the previous game's protagonist is not the final boss, but instead an optional bonus boss fight that you can non-canonically unlock and fight. There are many such cases, often in RPGs. Persona 5, you can fight the protags from Persona 3 and 4. Octopath Traveler 2, you can fight the party members from Octopath Traveler 1. Shin Megami Tensei 5, you can fight the Demi-Fiend guy from 3. There are many such cases. Now the first example that comes to many people's minds is in Pokemon Gold and Silver, and Crystal, and Heart Gold, and Soul Silver. You beat all 8 Johto gyms, beat the Elite 4, beat the Elite 5, become the champion, then nah, it's not over. You go on a victory lap tour of the Kanto region from the first game, dunk all over the 8 gym leaders there, and then the final challenge at the summit of Mount Silver, Pokemon Trainer Red, who is your character from Pokemon Red and Blue and Green and Yellow and Pink and Fire Red and Leaf Green and Water Blue. Anyways, it's a brutal fight, champion versus champion in the hail. He starts the battle by sending out a level 88 Pikachu, which is the highest level non-tower trainer Pokemon in the history of the whole series. For a couple of decades, this whole team was the highest level team, but it was overtaken by rematch Cynthia in the Gen 4 Fisher Price Price remake, and then overtaken again by the ex-champion kid with the weird hair in the DLC that I did not purchase nor play. Red's team varies a little between versions, but he always has all 3 fully evolved starters at crazy high levels. This is a version of you that truly is the champion, that completed the entire Pokédex. This is the endgame 8-year-old you that we're fighting. These types of fights aren't just against a standard version of you, but the most powerful version of you, to feel like you really challenged yourself and surpassed yourself. You're gazing into a dusty mirror at a past version of yourself who was not smart enough to evolve Pikachu into Raichu. In Splatoon 1's single-player campaign, you play as Agent 3, a regular Inkling who gets recruited by an old man to join the military, the American Dream. And over the course of the game, you defeat the Octarian army and its leader, DJ Octavio. In Splatoon 2, you play as Agent 4, nobody cares. But in Splatoon 2's Octo expansion, you play as Agent 8, a former member of that Octarian army from the first game, who left the army after watching Agent 3 fight DJ Octavio during the final battle in Splatoon 1. During Octo Expansion's campaign, Agent 3, your character from the first game, shows up once to help bust you out of the Jonestown blender, and then off-screen they get hit with mind control goop, so you fight them for the first time in a mini-boss battle. But that's a pretty easy fight, that's not the fight we're after today. After finishing all 80 levels of the Deep Sea Metro, you unlock one final challenge, Inner Agent 3. This fight does not actually happen in a physical sense, it's happening inside your mind. Sort of like the ending to the real Final Fantasy VII, you're not physically fighting Agent 3, you're fighting Agent 8's perception of Agent 3, the one who single-handedly defeated the Octarian army. And apparently, Agent 8 thinks Agent 3 is a degenerate cheater scumbag of a player who hacked the game and loves to spam special moves and has infinite ink. Just an all-around piece of shit. And I mean, yeah, I used some questionable strategies in Splatoon 1 myself, but not like this. Not like this! Now you know what game has all 3 of these tropes we talked about today? Deeeer Simulator. Well, sort of, I'll explain. Spoilers for all of Deeeer Simulator. Go play it and come back, you beat it in an hour or 2. So the game starts off with you making your own custom character, after spending hours tweaking every face value and settling on a handsome doctor you'd see in a telenovela. That custom character is immediately killed off. They're dead, turbo dead, dead as fuck, and you play as Deeeer instead. 10 out of 10. You progress through the game by knocking down buildings to collect weapons, indoctrinating a cult of Deeeer disciples, and causing enough of a Deeersaster that increasing levels of the animal police are dispatched to take you out. It's like Grand Theft Auto Wanted Stars. Surprisingly, none of the police are pigs. After reaching the highest Deeersaster level, the police's last resort parachutes in, and you fight the ultimate police corgi boss battle who transforms into a furry Megazord while the 4th movement of New World Symphony by Antonin Dvorak plays. After you win, using the power of the spirit of the Korg, you are transported to a new world, but actually it's the future, and you repeat the process to become Cyber Deeeer. And you fight reincarnations of the animal police from before who have used their 1000 years in the Shadow Realm to gain new psychic powers and also become Autobots. After these new bouts of escalating power, you're all decked out with laser blasters and rocket boots. Whomst could possibly stand a chance against you? Whomst! Hoopst! Trope number 3, you. But not just you, but future you, in a Nier Automata looking ass throne room. It's a one-on-one fight, Deeeer versus future Deeeer, who I guess studies gymnastics in the future because they can do all sorts of dodges and backflips. Why can't my Deeeer do any of this? But then, in true second phase escalation fashion, halfway through the fight, future you performs Shadow Clone Jutsu and the real enemy spawns in, Curse of the Deeeer. And you have to fight both future Deeeer and Shadow Deeeer simultaneously in a surprisingly difficult boss fight. But that's not all, because after that you get transported to what I can only assume is the end of time, where in a desperate final attempt to hold on to power, future you transforms Curse of the Deeeer into a kaiju. Final boss trope number 1 activates, sort of, and the police force from the past present shows up through a portal, and they reform the Megazord, and you have a kaiju versus kaiju battle in the ocean, just like in The Legend of Korra Season 2 finale, which everyone loved. Doesn't something like this happen in Death Stranding? I don't know, I didn't get that far. But it's final boss trope number 2, almost, where they're playing New World Symphony again, just like in the initial Corgi boss fight, where you're having a battle to decide the fate of this new world. At the end of this climactic battle, you have a choice to kill your future self, the monster they have become, the monster you will become. And in a bigger twist than Bioshock Infinite's wacky ending, when you go to bury the body of future you see not one, but many deer. It's revealed that this process has repeated time and time again, and you assume the role of your future self and continue this cycle of violence, death, and rebirth as the 13th deer. Or you can play through the whole game again and instead choose to break the cycle of violence, where you and your future self team up, absorb all the energy of the planet, shake the shackles of the curse of the deer, become the dearest deer, and achieve deer enlightenment. You grow in size and then atop the flat earth. Wait, what the fuck? In the biggest twist in gaming history since Aerith's stupid ass death, the true master of the world is revealed. It's you, but not deer you, but instead human you that you created in the character creator at the start of the game all those hours ago. Like 1 hour ago, it's a pretty short game. Final boss trope number 3, again! The game then switches genres to horror, as in a very unsettling sequence, the original human you takes the form of every enemy you fought up to this point while the William Tell overture plays. And your goal is simply to survive. I died a lot during this fight, but the game is pretty chill about it, which is nice. Using the power of an accidental exploit, I managed to dodge my own final attacks, and by using the unfiltered power of the sun, you conquer yourself. The thesis of this video is, Deer Simulator is a final boss masterpiece. That's how you make a fucking video game. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, then you may also enjoy my video on pause music in video games. I thought it was pretty alright. Comment below with your favorite final boss moments, and today's comment code word is, there are many such cases. Comment, there are many such cases. If made it all the way through the video, and that's it, video's over.